Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video, as you can tell by the title, we will be going over this large winter storm that at this point is pretty much starting to occur. By the time I upload this video, it will be well under the way in terms of its rainfall. Its snowfall starting to fall across portions of Missouri, Illinois, and yes, this thing will be expanding throughout the night and into tomorrow. We'll be dropping potentially well over a foot of snow in some locations. I do want to say that there have been some details clarified, right, since last video, and now I kind of want to show you where we are a bit more confident in the snowfall totals that are a bit higher, lower in certain areas. And notice this is what it looks like as of 6:50 p.m. Central Time. We are starting to see snow across Colorado, Denver, Boulder, Cheyenne, all under a decent clip of snow. Kansas City starting to see scattered rain and snow showers to the north. St. Joseph mainly in some snow showers. And do note that this thing exploded. I mean, today, really at noon, Pacific time, noon Mountain time. This is 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. This is what the system looked like. You could see measly. And then right now, it's just blew up. There's a lot of intense precip rates to the south. There is some, snow falling towards the north, and we'll just be going over the details now. So before we get into this, I do want to say if you are a new viewer, just first time watching this video, consider checking out the channel. Thank you so much for watching the video thus far. And obviously, if you would like at the end, you could subscribe and like the video. I'm just saying this now because at the end I always forget. If you have any comments, leave them down below. I'll do my best to answer them, though I may not answer all if I get a ton of comments. And of course, thank you for watching. Let's start talking about this because I want to keep this under 20 minutes or kind of in that time frame, and with so much to talk, that will be very hard. First off, National Weather Service Weather Radiation Map. You may have seen this kind of map if you've tracked the weather across the United States. You can see that many large cities in the pink under a winter storm warning. Then in the darker blue, that is a winter storm watch. That is kind of the potential for a warning. And then in that lighter blue, we have winter weather advisories. Notice that at the north, this gradient is super tight. I mean, we have literally sometimes going from one county seeing a foot of snow to 2 counties over, and you're seeing barely anything. So this is why this makes it a very challenging forecast to the north in terms of impacts. Because to the south, regardless if you live in, regardless if you get that rain or snow, obviously that will make an impact on those accumulations. But it will be impactful because if you don't get as much snow, you'll get rain. If you get more snow, you'll get more snow. So it's really towards the north that it's pretty challenging, and of course the specifics, how much snow, where exactly, that's a challenge as well. Do note that the main cities under kind of a winter storm watch, again, not the warning yet. It does include Dallas and Fort Worth. You can see a large area under winter storm watch, mainly for ice. A bit of snow is possible, but again, mainly in ice and sleet. So nothing too significant in terms of that snow threat, but for travel it's going to be hazardous for sure. So let's start going over this. I showed you the radar, I showed you the weather watches, weather warnings. Do note that there are some advisories not tied to this system across the north. Some blizzard warnings, which is definitely interesting. I want to now start showing you some models. So at this point, we just got to focus on the HighRes models, right? And that includes, first off, actually, let me just show you the total snowfall for the next 72 hours as predicted by the National Weather Service. It gets updated every hour. Do note that they do show quite a bit across Oklahoma. Again, some of these are a bit lower or higher in areas. Notice how it's kind of spotty here. Across Texas, there's some gray areas, blue areas. They're just not completely confident with that forecast. I would say, though, if you live anywhere in that blue on this map, so, if you can't see, try maybe zooming in. I'll zoom in. I'll do my best to zoom in. My mouse is, for some reason, not wanting to work as well as it should. But basically, what I was going to say is that if you live anywhere in that blue, that light blue across Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas, you can expect to see around 4 to 6 inches of snow. Now, yes, some areas will see 3, some probably 7, so kind of in the higher ends of that range, but most will fall into that range. And that's the opposite of what I wanted to do. Maybe this makes it better. I don't know, but do note that across portions of western Kansas, southwestern Kansas, there could be amounts ranging from 6 to 10 inches. That's definitely a possibility. The mountains of Colorado and New Mexico seeing around a foot and a half in the highest elevations, maybe even up to 2 feet. And then note that Kansas City, you're going to be lying right on the northern track of the heaviest of the snow. So again, around a half a foot to the south, measly amounts to the north. It's a pretty stark drop off. St. Louis up to a foot. Central Illinois, 11 to 18 inches is a good threat or a good possibility. And then northern Indiana, extreme western. Sorry, eastern central Illinois, I would say 15 to 20, and then where Ohio, Michigan is also 15 to 20, Detroit, and then further north into Michigan it quickly drops off as well. Do note that cities like Columbus, this only shows the snow side of the forecast because Louisville, Columbus here. Columbus shows 4 inches here. A lot of that may be ice, and if there's less ice, there will be a lot more snow. Erie at around 9 to 10 inches, a decent event for the New England area, or I should say the interior Northeast. But do note that some of these amounts are a bit lower than previously forecasted. And the main reason for that is that those 2 waves of snow aren't as aligned as previously thought. Let me go back to yesterday's forecast at the same time, 24 hours ago, and notice that there are some changes from it. Main one being that there were a few higher amounts here across Illinois, Indiana. There were more 17s, right? There was 14, 16, and whatnot. It's still, the overall trek hasn't really shifted much. It just kind of expanded towards the south because the second wave could be dropping a bit more of snow. Regardless, a very, very massive winter storm. So, it won't really make a difference if you're going to see 16 versus 20 inches. It's pretty crippling nonetheless. So, I'm going to show you a model like the European to show you if it's thinking has changed. Spoiler, not really. There hasn't been any big changes. You can see this is total snowfall from the 2 waves. I'll show you what I mean by 2 waves if you don't know what I'm talking about in just a second. But notice that this is assuming a 10-to-1 ratio, so pretty accurate, I would assume. And yeah. 13, 14, 15. I think that's on a lower side because they're predicting up to 15 inches in National Weather Service across these areas just from that first wave across central Indiana, central Illinois, and northern Ohio. So this may be a bit on the conservative side, especially for the Northeast and right there into southern Canada. So let me now show you some HighRes models that I was planning on showing you and that is the HighRes model. So this is a very good model. It goes out to 48 hours every 6 hours, but you could see that that model time frame that it came out last time it came out to 48 hours was 6 hours ago. So some of this data maybe not the freshest, still relatively good as the global, if not better, but the HighRes is specifically made for events like this. And let me click on a precip and rates because I don't want to just show you the snowfall. I want to show you how the system evolves. And I do think this model actually has a pretty good handle of it. Sometimes the HighRes model doesn't, but based on the radar returns, I think the HighRes model really has a good handle of this. Notice, so that's what it thinks it will look like as of 7. And if you were to take a look at the radar, which I showed you earlier, that's pretty darn accurate as to what's happening across the United States. There are obviously some differences, but they're mainly, I would say it's pretty aligned. Notice that by 9, 10, right, this thing's spreading into Kansas City, just north of St. Louis, into Chicago. Still raining across the areas. I could see up to a foot of snow. Indiana, Illinois. Don't be surprised if that rain, is still raining by the time you're going to sleep. And then note that this thing continues blowing up. That snow, that rain getting pushed towards the south. That rain snow line, I should say, going towards the south. That ice line, that ice threat, if you will, is also growing. We see more moisture getting filled into this system, and we have areas like Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Missouri, southeastern Iowa, Kansas, all under a decent snow clip right there. And you can see this is what it looks like now. This is what it looked like at 12. This is now 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you can see Detroit getting in on that rain probably overnight and then transitioning into snow by tomorrow early in the morning or mid-morning. And then you can see Kansas, Missouri getting quite a bit of that snow as well. And this thing's starting to move into cities like Toronto, Montreal, Quebec by tomorrow late in the afternoon. Maybe staying north of cities like Quebec and Montreal, Ottawa, but definitely Toronto getting in on some precip of some kind. Probably the snow transition will be occurring late tomorrow evening. And then notice that it's abating areas like central Illinois, central Indiana, and it's leaving that first wave. But look to the southwest. That's where that big one is. That potentially equally as big event right there. And we see snow across Oklahoma, Texas. Now let me just kind of go a few hours forward and show you how much snow could fall just from this first wave across the central United States, where or Indiana, Illinois, kind of those areas. And then of course I'll track through this mouse is really really giving me a hard time here for some reason. And then I'll track through the second wave, and I'll show you how much additional snowfall may be occurring from that one. So let me take a look at total snowfall. Come on. And you can see right there we have several areas. Anywhere in that pink, that's above 6 inches. Anywhere in that green, that's above a foot. So again, the HighRes model shows up over a foot, and there definitely will be areas that are probably over a foot, as there will be quite a bit of banding, which means basically little bands of tight snow that produce quite a bit of additional snow across very small amounts of areas, so that kind of varies the snowfall totals. But I do think that tomorrow, by 11-12, there will be areas across central Illinois, central Indiana, that will be reaching well over a foot. You can see just north of St. Louis, it paints the heaviest snow from the first wave. Detroit, you're still under the snow at this point. Into southwest Michigan, depends how far southwest you are. If you're right by the border of Indiana, you're looking to get absolutely hammered by that first wave, up to a foot, if not more. And then notice into portions of Oklahoma, Kansas, that second wave is starting to take shape. And I'm trying to fix this mouse this whole time, and it's just leaving me. But let me now go back and show you the radar rain slash frozen, and show you what that second wave does. So notice it's a bit further towards the south, so St. Louis gets in on some snowfall. Maybe Indianapolis goes from ice more into a snow mix. Large cities, Little Rock, say you live in Dallas, you start getting in on that ice late Wednesday during the night. Paducah, moving into Louisville almost by late and early Thursday, I guess, early 6 a.m. And notice Indiana, Ohio, southwestern Michigan getting out of that snow. Same with Illinois, northern Missouri, Kansas. Still snowing maybe across Oklahoma. A lot of ice occurring across Arkansas. Some nasty thunderstorms maybe across Louisiana, Mississippi, and Georgia. And then look, this thing, I compared this on scale. If you were to take the length of this system from Texas, where the rain, snow, ice is occurring, all the way into Maine, if you were to measure the length of this, it's comparable to kind of a swath of snow extending from Spain all the way into northern areas of the Baltic, Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia. So this thing is, this is just a massive stretch of precipitation, and extremely impactful, therefore, because of how many people are under this, the U.S. and Canada alike, and even portions of Mexico. So just a massive system. And do note that, again, this stops at hour 48, so we don't see the full total snowfall out of this, but this is what we're leaving off at, because this is how far out the HighRes model goes. And let me show you the total snowfall. And you can see, boom, a lot of these areas I do think could be even higher than what this shows. This assumes a 10-to-1 ratio. Realistically, this will be at a 12 to probably a 13-to-1 ratio. So you can multiply the 14 times 1.3. I don't know how much exact that is, but I assume that's close to 20-ish inches probably. So and that's still snowing across those areas. So I do think that there still will be areas that get over 20 inches, just maybe not as widespread as previously thought. But at the same time, I don't want to jinx it, as really the models haven't changed that much. I'm just going off of kind of my gut feeling. But do note that the NAM 12KM takes us through 84 hours. This is what it shows. Yes, it does show a lot more snow to the south, but don't get carried away by that. A lot of that is ice, and it isn't actually snow. And just to show you on a different website where that kind of error doesn't happen, this is what the NAM actually shows in terms of snowfall. You could see a pretty fine line towards the south. So Columbus, you're right on the line. Cleveland, you could get up to well over a foot, assuming a correct ratio, which this one's probably more accurate. Notice Erie, 1.5 feet. Again, a lot of these areas here getting left off with, close to 2 feet. That was the noon model run. This is the evening one, so actually the most recent one does show a bit more snow even across these areas. I do think there will be isolated amounts, potentially over 2 feet, especially if we get that more impressive banding. I also want to show you another model that I think has a decently good handle over this, and with fresher data, the RAP model. Let's take a look at it. Kuchera, the more accurate snowfall measurement. Notice it shows quite a bit of that snow a bit further north into Michigan, maybe even a bit north into Illinois, Iowa, though again, this is a pretty trivial. We'll have to see how far north that goes. Kansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, a widespread, 8 to 10 inch swath, or I should say 6 to 10 inch swath through Oklahoma City, Tulsa, into Topeka, Wichita, Jefferson, Springfield, St. Louis. If you're wondering, I'm assuming this model has a pretty good handle of this, but at hour 51, we still have that second wave going on. So I just want to show you that it's still occurring, but that's mainly for the areas across the Northeast. So it's pretty much done with across areas like St. Louis. Let's take a look at total snowfall. You could see St. Louis located right there. It's a sharp gradient, but up to a foot and a half is possible. Again, I assure you, the difference between a foot and a half and 2 feet won't make this a big versus a giant storm. It's a giant storm, or either way. Notice again that the bullseye seems rather unmoved, maybe a bit towards the north since yesterday. Indianapolis, especially with that second wave, you could get a lot, but up to a foot is possible. Tight gradient again, just to the north of you, there could be 2 feet, and then these amounts are still a bit less. But Toronto, for example, 16 inches, centimeters. That's close to 30 to 40. If this pans out the way that our AP has it showing, which probably is a pretty good estimate. I could show you the global ones, but at this point they are less accurate than the high res. The high res have a much more detailed view, but generally the same information. Lighter amounts with this one because it's a 10-to-1 ratio. A lot of this will be falling as a fluffier snow once it initially gets past that heavy snow, wet snow when it transitions over from rain. So the GFS probably has a good snowfall estimate that's probably a bit more accurate with its most latest run right there. Again, you can see areas getting over 2 feet is definitely a possibility. All right, so that's basically it in terms of the modeling, and ask your individual cities down below. But for the best forecast, I think what I have to do is pull up this model, go back to 21 hours here, and let me just zoom in and let me just go a little bit region by region. I think because a lot of people come here to kind of ask about my opinion or what's not. Find your city. If you can't find your city on this map, then I can't help you. And you won't see, Indianapolis, right? Just find a general location. If you live in Indianapolis, you know that you live in this area, right? You know that you're not like way over here. This is Ohio. This is Detroit. So if you live in Detroit, see those numbers. I think that's a pretty darn good estimate of what may happen. Again, Chicago, that might be on a higher side. But regardless, the RAP definitely does have a more northern trend with this snow. And it's been seemingly continuing, so I don't know if that will actually have an impact. But notice St. Louis, 17, 15 to the south. Quite a bit less though. Kansas City, just to the north. Really 3, 4, 5 amounts to the south, 10, 11, right? So I think that's a pretty good view. Now let's move on to a different region, the south central kind of United States, as the Midwest is not this mouse. As the Midwest isn't the only region getting impacted by this. So again, find your place. You could see Tulsa, for example, getting around 8 to 9 inches. Southwestern Kansas, really southern Kansas, 10-ish inches. Amarillo, 5 inches right there. Dallas, it shows here around 4 inches. Potentially, that's probably a bit more aggressive. Oklahoma City, around 8.4, 8.3. With this model. And in the Northeast, I will show you as well. But I do want to say that this one doesn't have this full system done yet at this point. You could see Toronto, 17 inches of snowfall in terms of centimeters. You'll have to do the conversion for the most accurate one. I think it's like a 2.55 or 2.5 to 1 inch. I don't know exactly, but regardless, up to 30, 40 centimeters. And I noticed that here the snow's still falling, so those amounts aren't finished across upstate New York and Vermont and New Hampshire. So yeah, this is a big event, guys. I'll probably be making one more video about this tomorrow, but then after that, probably wrapping it up because for the most part, this system is done in terms of what or in terms of what I can forecast. Anything else, we will just have to, I guess, watch for. And I won't be making a video. I always just make one video. Sorry about that. I'm trying to get a new battery here for my mouse, seeing if this will work. Probably not. Well, there we go. So, I probably won't be making one on Friday afternoon since this is what it looks like late Thursday. And by late Friday, this thing will be gone. So tomorrow's probably the last video about this system. But, of course, I'll keep you updated on any other additional snowstorms. But it does look like we could be entering a bit of a quieter pattern after this storm. But, again, an impressive system. We'll have to get through this, guys. There's a lot of icing threat as well. I didn't go over that too well because the models don't have that good of a handling on that. And it's always a bit deceiving. So just go to your local National Weather Service and take a look at it, right? Notice that they have power outage and tree damage will be possible due to freezing rain here across Louisville. And that's probably a similar situation across many of these areas to the south. And again, this gradient, don't be surprised if, you live in Davenport, you get a dusting. Or you live in Davenport, you get 4 inches. Either is possible. It's such a small gradient that to the north that this thing is definitely something we'll have to watch for. Again, stay tuned with the National Weather Service. And for now, this is basically it from me. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something new. And I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya.